We are here for the last thing on our program for today, and that is the wrap-up of today. And I'm joined by Teun van Wetten again, my colleague and curator for the event. And we will reflect on what happened today, what have we heard, what have we learned, what kind of links did we see perhaps between the different program parts. And for our reflection, I'm also interested to see what you guys as the audience thought of today and what your reflections are. So please do use the comment section to add your reflections, but also maybe additional questions that you might have that Teun might be able to answer, or that's just an interesting point of discussion that came forward from today. That's for the comment section. Now back to you, Teun. I'm curious. I think you've been able to see a lot of the talks and some of the parallel sessions as well. And I'm curious, what is your overall feeling now at the end of this day? How do you look back on it?
Yeah, thank you, Phil. It's good to be back on stage. I think the overall feeling is one of joy. I think we're very happy, of course, that some small hiccups, but how smooth everything ran. As stated, it's the first time we run the Forward event and the first time hosting it. So very happy, and also very happy with the support of all the team, of course, working in the background. But definitely the content and also the level of inspiration it provided. It brings a lot of joy, and again, it's always good to see that in this specific area of design, there's such a willingness to share more, maybe even be more open about tools, processes, things which are a little bit more difficult than before than in other sections of design happening. Sometimes it feels a little bit more closed. Not everybody's willing to share their methods because there's like their secret sauce. And it's a very strong message, I think, from a lot of people presenting today, the level of openness and the transparency they are providing, not just about things which are going well, but also challenges they have and where they need to improve. And that's, I think, something to be celebrated.
Yeah, that's a nice point indeed. Maybe the sense of urgency and the fact that a lot of speakers mentioned it, that this is moving from linear to circular is a matter of collaboration across the value chain. So maybe that in itself inherently asks for this collaborative and open mindset. And I think definitely we saw that today with the speakers.
Yeah, no, I think, of course, if I would tell this to you, Phil, I think I'm preaching to the choir, but the importance of collaboration for design to tackle the really big issues we're dealing with, and the role we play and the responsibility we have to play that role, to the best of our abilities is quite high. And I think that's where, a lot of people are returning that message, and a lot of people are stating this from themselves. So it's good to hear that there's many people out there who believe what we believe and who believe that the same principles apply. And it's much easier to work with people who believe what you believe. So that's good.
Yeah, at the same time, of course, we're not looking for like-mindedness, because that would make innovation maybe a bit too directional. Also, the cross thinkers are very welcome. But I think today we saw a lot of different angles of looking at the same topic, and everybody gave their own examples from their own roles. And I think that's very strong, that we saw that amongst all of us, there was this strong belief indeed that designers could do more and could fulfill a role because of the holistic perspective that they might bring, and because of the ecosystem that's so important in this topic. But at the same time, everybody's also acknowledging that we do that from a certain design skill set or a certain design capability, and not something that is bigger than we are or than our profession is. So I thought that balance was very interesting to see how each of us in the presentations does that in their own way. And sometimes it's more related to the design, the product architecture. Sometimes it's more related to the product marketing, or the storytelling around it. So I think that's was a really nice blend of different angles today.
Yeah,
maybe we should go through the. Sorry, maybe we should go through the different aspects of today and shed some light on them. So what did we see? What did we hear?
Yeah, reflecting a bit, and sometimes you will see me glancing down because I have some notes here because there was a lot of content. So I do apologize for that. I made some notes. Yeah. So first, of course, after the talk from which we gave at start the event to welcome everyone, I think Irene and Thomas reflected on the fact that for VanBerlo, at least, there's a lot more opportunities now to make a bigger impact now that we've joined forces. And it is also good to know that from an Accenture point of view, actually the core where we do most of our work is also where we can actually deliver that even more impact. So I think that that's a very nice relationship, which is a double catalyst almost for each other in reinforcing that we are focusing in the right area for us as a company, and that we have landed in the right place to even increase our impact. So for me personally, that's very good to hear. But also hopefully for other design companies who deal with similar partners in networks, to know that where they're focusing on is really where value and impact sits. And then Frans from Park, of course, when he had his talk about humanity-centered design, of course, he reflected on the importance and also reflected on the fact that it's naive to think that all these complex problems will solved by designers alone. But he is so, and Park and the entire company, as you see again, they're so willing to talk about it, to share the materials, to share the methods and tools they have developed. They spend the time on doing that, and then they open them up to everyone who wants to use them, and they even spend time on educating people how to use them. And I think that's the type of company and position you need on your side when you do this. So I'm very happy to have them here. And I think in the end, he even also reflected on the need to be regenerative, as in carbon neutral, is not enough, or neutrality is not enough. It really is about positivity and even fixing some of the mistakes we made, which of course we see coming back in other presentations as well. And after that, I had the opportunity to quickly hop over to a session, or actually some expo highlight, which was happening from Flora Populaars. And she had a very interesting term, which I never heard before, which was, or not in this context at least, which is divestment. And divestment is the opposite of investment. And she had done some PhD work relating to a willingness of people to actually let go of their devices, in especially mobile phones, and the reasons why they do not want to let go. And through doing this research, she has uncovered, well, if these are the reasons why people do not want to let go, can we design the product and services around it so that, yes, they will be more willing to let it go, and therefore will allow more products and therefore materials to get back into the systems and allowing them to be recycled. So I thought it was a very interesting point of view. And I hope to talk to her even a little bit more in the coming days in order to ensure that I understand it even a bit better. Let's see. After that, Dave Allen was there. I had to look at my notes for that. And he talked about empowerment of the few, and that's of course a relation to technology, internet, and he presented a really interesting case study where a single individual was able to launch a completely new product range within a period of 6 months, and that could be something which some of the larger corporates could struggle with, such a timeline. And this is because of all the tools and networks which are now openly available to this person. I thought that was a very interesting point, that the empowerment of the individual, even on a level to do business and to create new business model and to try those things, can be, again, a very source inspiration for the bigger companies, who of course are also trying to shorten their own timelines.
And then in that context of the resource fluidity and the human fluidity and the digital fluidity, which is apparent in that example of someone maybe at a startup being able to act very lean and to access the same professional resources as a big multinational would, but then without being so lean perhaps. But at the same time, Dave also presented this as a context where bigger companies have to deal with. So this is also, this fluidity is there, and it's something to relate to from the place that you are in. Yes, no, yeah, definitely. I think it's also a message to everyone that everyone has power and everyone has a potential to be an agent for change. So I think that's a very positive message.
And then Wesley Spindler, co-author of the Economy Handbook. As I stated before, for me, the book is a very valuable tool and inspiration I use quite a bit. So for me, I was very happy to hear her talk again. It's not the first time, but I think she has a very powerful message. And I do recommend everyone to have a look at this thecirculars.org, the platform which was launched today, because it just brings a lot of practicality and even more tools and methods to help you if you want to have a circular journey, to basically guide you on that way. So definitely, I would say check that out. And following Wesley, Miele, Philips, and individually, but also as part of the panel discussion, I think they brought a lot of interesting points of view, also very different point of view on certain topic, but also actually very much consensus in the end on some of the really big topics. And it also shows that there's not one answer, that there's multiple strategies possible. And I especially liked also the amount of interaction all speakers had with the audience, because there were a lot of very relevant questions, very critical questions, very well founded questions. But also if you then look at the answers which were provided, there seems to be a lot of thought, and also again this transparency and openness relating to we are not perfect, but we are very motivated, and we are along the way. And I think again they are pioneers in this journey, and the fact that they are pioneering and the fact that they are moving forward and that we can even learn from their experience and therefore move faster ourselves is something really to celebrate. I think Andreas even mentioned in the talk, as in design can be the mediator and they can be the drivers, which I think is something I personally also really believe. And Stefan from Miele as well, he really referenced education plays such a big part tied into behavior of consumers and user and designing for that behavior, which I think was also very much reflected in a lot of the communication from Philips. But Philips also went very in depth regarding like the process, the tools they use, the analysis, how they basically are very critical towards themselves on where can we use this, where can we do that, to figure out if we can do it, and if we can do it, we should do it in relation to where can they apply, for instance, recycled plastic content. And Francesco, of course, a true specialist on design for repair. I think if you have not checked out his other body of works, it's also a very good source of inspiration of how to design for repair, how to design for disassembly. And it's great to see even some more of his recent work. And I think then we had the panel, and there also, responsibility in design is very linked to the responsibility of the consumer behavior. So responsibility is at a company level, responsibility is at a designer level, but responsibility is also involving the user and allowing or to create an environment where the user behavior is basically directed towards the most positive impact. I think that was a very good consensus that they reached. And then Vincent, I think a very threatening or a horrifying story, as you put it, I think. But for me, it's so clear and like kind of reignites the flame which is already burning. Like we need to do even better. We need to be even faster, because if you look at the rates of what is happening and the damage we are doing to wildlife, but also the economical systems and the society, the people who live there, and how it influences their lives in a negative way. Yeah. We all have a responsibility to be part of the solution. So for me, that's very inspiring, although it's a very threatening message, but
daunting as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was daunting, and the visuals make that even more real. But at the same time, maybe I think it's a powerful tool to use to actually bring across this sense of urgency. And I think the materials that he showed, the pictures also show that that this cannot continue to go on forever. So it shows that linearity does have an end. It cannot be an endless pathway, because those rivers were full and those beaches were full of plastic. So I think that's very strong to bring in his photography background and that kind of experience into his work. I think that's also inspirational in itself, that, the broad individual that you are, you can bring that back into your work and into your passion to work on the circular economy.
Yeah, so very, very inspiring. And again, the part from Vincent, indeed, it's really additional motivation to know that we are on the right path, or maybe that we even have to make our paths a little bit wider and also a little bit quicker. So very good motivation indeed.
Yes, exactly. And now we are here. We of course also had Bas Flipsen from TU Delft explaining about how to educate the next generation of circular practitioners, and TU Delft student presenting their work. And as you mentioned, Francesco at Philips is in a way a product of that type of education, let's say, where he represents that new generation. So that's interesting that we had them in the program as well.
No, definitely, and I think what I stated, it's very positive to see that there are so many things happening, and as we state, or as has been stated a couple of times now, that the situation we are all in seems to act as a tipping point, and in a tipping point or a fulcrum in a way where things will speed up, things will move faster. There's even more awareness now because of current situations, but also the next generation, it's so clear for everyone that it needs to be the case. And I think also the advice from Frans Josias when he was asked a question about what should students focus on, they should never enter any education or any course which does not include a very heavy sustainability element in it. You should not accept the fact that sustainability is not part of the curriculum. So I think that's a very powerful message, that indeed even you can make a choice in the education you have, and to make sure that you get empowered to be the agent of change you want to be. So I think that was very strong.
Those are beautiful words, Teun, and actually also a link to tomorrow's program, which I would like to look ahead towards, because tomorrow we have, of course, a more academia-based program where different people working in research context, or people who have moved from industry to a research context, or the other way around, will share their insights with us. And also we will have, of course, some university-based participants. For example, from the Wageningen University, we will have Henriette Bos, and she will explain about what the role is of bioplastics in the bioeconomy, circular bioeconomy. So tomorrow will be much based on, like Vincent actually closed off with today, biomimicry and bioplastics, biomaterials, the role of those. And we will also extend from the design of products paradigm to architecture and larger scale built environment design challenges, where we will look at the role of additive manufacturing, for example, and the opportunities that brings, the challenges that it also brings, because with every new technology come, of course, new hurdles to overtake. But we have some experts there, for example, Wessel van Berendonk from Studio Rap, who have extensive experience with this and are also developing their own methods and techniques to design with these new technologies, and to not only stay the architects, but also become the producers of the new technologies that allow for new and different architecture. Let's see, is there anything else that I want to highlight from tomorrow's program? We will also look at what is the experience aspect of this biocircular economy, and what is the role of smart, connected Internet of Things type of products in that. So a lot of things on the program again, and it will be, like today, a mix of talks and panel discussions and some expo sessions. So I think a lot of interesting stuff going on tomorrow again. Is there anything that you would like to add to this sneak preview, Teun?
Yeah, maybe a couple of things. So I think part of us, of course, also hosting this event is we are the largest design firm in the Netherlands, and we believe it's our responsibility also to play our part in the education of the next generation. So for tomorrow, we want to provide a podium to all these, basically, the next generation, the bright young minds currently either studying or doing PhD work, and they have they bring a lot of really fresh new ideas, perspective, outlooks. And I think that's very inspiring. Next to that, the students, but also the biomaterials, the bioeconomy, the rapidness in which new materials and new processes are being developed there, which are basically all itching for us as designers to apply them into our products and in our systems in order to get scalability into them and therefore make them even more applicable. I think that's very important for designers to know that there are these new materials, there are these things happening, but they need to be applied in order to grow, in order to have the scalability. Mm-hmm. And from the additive manufacturing perspective, I think it really highlights that new technologies enable even greater impact, greater change, allow transition to completely new models. And next to them presenting individually tomorrow, they will also again join a panel discussion together. And you will see very different perspectives from different people who are basically working in the same fields, applying similar technologies, but still have their own basically unique point of view on it and why they think it should be done. And they are not excluding each other. They are only reinforcing each other's beliefs. So I think that again is very inspirational. And that there should be a lot of content in there. Next to that, what of course also happened, what we haven't talked about today, is there was also a panel discussion on mobility, which really talked about some of the problems with, for instance, ongoing systems and how they can be solved, but also looking forward for instance, with Hyperloop on how things are happening in the future. And there was another panel session, which I briefly only caught the end of, about smart and connected products, which our Chief Technology Officer, Eric, joined, as well as some people from Accenture and other parties from TNO, for instance. And I think it shows again that there's so much work to be done in such a variety of fields. But as long as you have your North Star, if you know what guides you through all those decisions, through all those different industries, you're going to be fine, because we're doing it. But the application of the theory in such different areas can be very challenging. But that's why you need a lot of different people, and that's why you need collaboration.
Yeah, and that's then also ties in your own talk of today into your summary. That's really good to highlight your message again. I think we can wrap up today then. Maybe a final word on this was the first Forward event, and it was fully digital. Are you happy with the results?
No, I'm very pleased with the results. There's always room for improvement. There's always steps to be better. So if there is feedback from everyone who joined the session today or visit the chat where we think we can improve, then please let us know. And I think it's our mission always to try to be better tomorrow than we were today.
Always.
But no, overall, I'm very happy. And there's so much support of people like you and I have been on the stage a couple of times, but there's a lot of people working on the background. So this is a nice opportunity to thank all these people working very hard to make us look good and to make our lives as easy as possible. So thank you for everyone on the background.
Yes.
And I welcome any feedback or criticism you might have where we can improve. But I'm very proud of launching a fully digital event for the first time. And for us, it's a very good pilot for which we learn and can improve.
Exactly. We, as with innovation and the circular economy, we are just doing it and trying it out. And tomorrow is a new day. Let's see how we can improve for tomorrow already. And otherwise, we are learning still also tomorrow. Thank you, Teun, for that reflection on today.